Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 10 of the anime series Show by Rock. And this episode was just brilliantly pitched to completely throw me for a loop as to what exactly was going to happen next in the aftermath of that just intense and psychotic cliffhanger from the previous episode where, are those Krista girls dead? Were they murdered by Dagger Morse? It's still a question overhanging everything that happened in this episode and everything that's going to happen beyond it. We got a lot of answers in this episode that were, falling in line with speculations and, just theories revolving around these characters. We have a confirmation right out of the gate that it was Grateful King possessing the guitar, Shien's guitar, Mr. Berry, taking on that personality and communicating to her as a, through line to try to just undo whatever Dagger Morse has been up to. And we have that confirmed, and we see that, there's some consequences by the end. More on that in a few. But the chief sort of misdirection in this episode that I thought was absolutely pitch perfect was Dagger suddenly focusing on Choo-Choo rather than Shien. Because we know it's Shien he's really after, and this episode suddenly steers us away from that. And he is really focused upon Choo-Choo. Choo-Choo has been all along feeling like, almost a selfish want to be famous, to be in the limelight. She's looking at this Plasmagica experience as just, as they say several times in the episode, a stepping stone to greater fame and fortune, and where the spotlight will be solely on her and her alone. And that her earliest memory calls back to Grateful King. He was part of a group, the Greats, I guess, where he was part of that group, essentially. And we see that he eventually became his own soul focused upon personality in this Midi-City music realm. And that's very much what, from a very early age, Choo-Choo wanted for herself. And she started jamming after buying her guitar on, sidewalks, and Maple came up and tried to hire her exactly as he did with Shien when she just dropped into this world. And the whole episode is seeing her on this downward spiral of succumbing to the perversions and twisted nature of those selfish wants, which, even though she says in this episode, when she's finally snapped out of it, she, comes clean that this is how she's been feeling all along, I still call that into question. I think she was thinking of the greater good of Plasmagica. She was in instigating Shan to write a song and wanting them to do, twin vocals and all these things. She was still thinking of the betterment of the band, but with the side garnish of, well, this could help me along with my aspirations as well. And I don't think there was a time all throughout the series where Choo-Choo wasn't being genuine. I don't think she was lying to these girls. I think she was really into being an ensemble. But as I say, the side notion all along has been, but then I'm going to move on. And I'm going to try to be in the limelight on my own volition. And Dagger comes in. He, as we find out in this episode, just passing by in a limousine while they're all talking out on the sidewalk, he can see their Melodician crystals and the energy they exude. He can see just how incredibly lit up Shien's is. And then conversely, he can see the darkness enrapturing Choo-Choo's, and that's when he knows to go for the jugular, effectively, going to the point of contacting her and leading her to his big record conglomerate. And this is where he brainwashes her. He pushes her over that edge, forcing her to be inundated with all of those dark whispers of, selfish thoughts and tidings she's carried with her for so long. And it twists her and it mind bends her. And that, I was like gripping the edge of my seat. I'm like, WTF, I can't believe how far this is going. Again, I was led to believe we're going to have a big dark monster clash with Plasmagica, with those girls, but it's up against one of their own. And of course, that's not what happens. And it's absolutely pitch perfect because what happened was unexpected by me. The sheer power that these girls have brought together, the bonds are so strong, they don't believe. And you have Mr. Berry coming in that one last time to say, no, she's brainwashed. Help her. Don't let her leave. Don't, this is a means to an end. It was flabbergasting that Dagger, the whole sole purpose of his twisting Choo-Choo, you're starting to think maybe he's changed his focus. Maybe he's actually going after Choo-Choo. Maybe she's actually the one who was to be focused upon all along. Maybe Xian was just a misdirection, but it's a dual misdirection in that, because he's focusing on Choo-Choo as a means to an end to affect Xian. It all goes back to Xian once again. And her power, the power between she, Moa, and Reitetsu, overcomes this darkness. I loved how it was a step-by-step thing. Xian grabbed her guitar. She starts playing the song that Choo-Choo wrote. You have Moa getting on the drums, taking that as a cue. And then you have Reitetsu doing the same. And all of this sound is just overflowing Choo-Choo's consciousness and waking her up out of it until the point she's on her guitar and they are rocking out, and I'm just like jamming. I'm like banging my head as I'm like watching this scene. Goosebumps. I was like, hell yes, music conquers all. And then in that success, the other leg drops. And this is that moment where it's like, there are consequences. Dagger, as I speculated and suspected, has been aware all along. Of course, we had to wait for this episode for the confirmation as to this speculation that Grateful King was Mr. Berry, was communicating to Xian to try to stop whatever it was Dagger's doing. And we find out that it's in fact getting the best of the best of the best to create an uber band that he will then control, using that guy who is a rival of Rome, using the chick from Surazura, and using Xian as a trio, as the ultimate band in all of music land creation. But he's on to what Grateful King's doing. And he's been trying to clamp it down, but, it's one of those situations where has Grateful King just exhausted an amount of energy in doing this? Or has he spent like his life to do this, to try to stop Dagger? Because you hear him coughing and sputtering, and it's like, it doesn't sound like the coughs and sputters of one who is just weakened. It sounded like, to me, maybe he just spent his last breaths to communicate this to Xian to wake Choo-Choo back out of it and save her. Of course, that will all remain to be seen wherever we pick up from here. There's talk, calling back on in flashback form. So there's being, approached by Angelica, and the talks of, is Grateful King involved, and what are the lengths to which he's been involved? And we find out it's just for the song. That's all Dagger wanted. He wanted Grateful King to pen a song that will be, in fact, the ultimate song for this ultimate trio he wants to put together. And he wants to conquer this world with that energy. And I can only but sit back and just I can't even guess at what's going to be next, what the next step is. I think we got 1 or 2 episodes left of this series. And this is a series that has wasted no time whatsoever. They have never tiptoed around the tulips. They have never gone at a snail's pace. They have never pulled a single punch in delivering their story. Never has there been a missed opportunity. And it's even thrown me for a loop a couple of times and shocked me and surprised me in pleasant ways. And it's phenomenal for that. I'm sitting here left perplexed as to what's going to happen next. I know that at some point, Plasmagica, maybe Shingen Crimsons, maybe these other bands, it's kind of conforming to my speculation that they will have to unite and band together to potentially take down Dagger and all these things. But it's been pitch perfect, this entire series. Not a wasted moment in unfolding this story. to the point where I thought this episode was going to end with Choo-Choo managing to escape, and we'd have to spend the next episode reining her back in, or conquering her and waking her up. It happened right here. And it's been just a grand momentum for this series. So, I mean, I loved this episode. Even after the shock of the previous, this was like a breather, a refresher, because they managed to stave off Dagger's manipulations for now, in follow-up to what he did to Krista. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. I am dying. I want to fast forward to the next episode and try to figure it out and see what's going to happen. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 10 of Show by Rock, if you've seen it, and if you were as rocked by the end of it, like me, no pun intended. Anything goes in the comments below. Love having the conversation with you guys. I'd love to hear your speculations and your reactions to all of the revelations, everything from Grateful King being Mr. Berry to what prowess Dagger yields in being able to read the Melodician crystals and their energy and influence them in such psychotic ways and all of that good stuff. I'd love to hear from you. And so, yeah, otherwise, just a bombastic, awesome episode. And that'll be it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.